Well, hey everybody, welcome to Centerpoint. We're so glad that you're joining us for our service this morning. My name is Justin and this is Bradley. We're some of the pastors here at the church, and we want to welcome you to our gathering, let you know about some things happening and also how to get connected. Now, if you have not gotten connected with us yet, the best thing you can do, and it's super easy, text Centerpoint to 94,000. We'll reply with a text of a couple options on things you may want to learn about or ways you can get connected. So text Centerpoint to 94,000, and that's the best first step to get connected and also to learn about things happening over the next few weeks.
Yeah, in fact, one of the biggest things happening this summer is for all of our rising sixth graders through our graduated seniors. We are doing an event here called The Weekend. That's July 9th through the 10th. It's our new summer camp experience that you are going to want to be a part of. So for more information about that or to register your spot, because that has to happen this month, you can check our website, our app, or right after service, you can head out to our courtyard and see our information.
Bradley talked about graduating seniors. Now, we are so excited for you as you're moving into this next stage of life. We also want to remind you we have an incredible college experience here through CC College launching this fall. Now, through partnership with Southeastern University, we're offering accredited degree programs, a paid internship, as well as real-life job and leadership training. So if you've graduated recently and you're not sure what your next step of life is, we think CC College is for you. We'd love to talk to you more about that. You get information on our website or text CC College to 94,000 and we'll follow up with you there.
And then lastly, we just want to make sure that July 16th is on your calendar. We are doing a celebration night here on campus to celebrate all that God has done over this last season of our church. So we're going to have some social time together, an amazing worship set, and celebrate baptisms. So do not miss this. Make sure your calendars are marked July 16th.
Now, for things that we've talked about in this video or anything else happening in the church, make sure you check out our app for information, our website, and also our Pulse email that we send out with all the information, all the details, so you won't miss a thing. Now guys, sit tight. We're going to start service in just a minute. We're so glad you're here and we're excited to worship with you.
Good morning, Centerpoint. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you would stand up and worship with us this morning.
Opens my eyes and my heart comes alive. It's your love bringing me
guys keep singing with us this morning? I won't forget the wonder of how you brought deliverance, the exodus of my heart. As you found me, you freed me, held back the waters from my release. Oh Yahweh, you're the God who fights for me, Lord of every victory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You have torn apart the sea, you have led me through the deep. Hallelujah, hallelujah. My day is a sign that you are with me. The fire by night is the guiding light to my feet. You found me, you freed me, held back the waters from my release. Oh Yahweh, you're the God who fights for me, Lord of every victory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You have torn apart the sea, you have led me through the deep. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You're the God who fights for me, Lord of every victory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You have torn apart the sea, you have led me through the deep. Hallelujah, you stepped into my Egypt, you took me by the hand, you marched me out of freedom into the promised land. Now I will not forget you, God. I'll sing of all you've done. Death is swallowed up forever by the fury of your love. 'Cause you stepped into my Egypt, you took me by the hand, you marched me out of freedom, straight into the promised land. Now I will not forget you, God. I'll sing of all you've done. Death is swallowed up forever by the fury of your love. You're the God who fights for me, Lord of every victory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You have torn apart the sea, you have led me through the deep. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You're the God who fights for me, Lord of every victory. Hallelujah, hallelujah. You have torn apart the sea, you have led me through the deep. Hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
well, let's keep this going.
grander earth has quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice. Seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken for my regard. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you, and it is well with me. Far be it from me to not believe, even when my eyes can't see. And this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes And through it all, my eyes are on you. And through it all, it is well. And through it all, my eyes are on you. And it is well with me.
Would you guys pray with me this morning? Jesus, thank you so much that we can be here confidently knowing that it can be well with our hearts and our souls, no matter what we're facing, no matter what we're walking through, because you are with us every step of the way. And Jesus, I just want to pray over all of the fathers this morning and thank them for their dedication and their sacrifice. But God, I want to remember those who are hurting this morning because they want to be fathers and they aren't yet. Or I want to pray over those who have lost their fathers over the past couple of years. I want to pray over those who do not have a good relationship with their father. And so today is just such a tricky day. God, we're so grateful that you are our Abba Father, that you are our good Father, that you have love for us that never ends, that you have love for us that is unconditional and it is never failing. And God, I pray for the hearts of those that just need to be reminded that you are good, that you would remind them today that you are their good, good Father, and that they would rest in that. We love you so much. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You may be seated. We do want to say a happy Father's Day to all of you dads in the crowd this morning. And as you were coming in, we did have a gift for you. If you missed it, you got to go out and get one because it is a Jesus cozy or koozie or however you say those. I don't know. But it is awesome. If there's some left over, I'm going to steal one from myself because you need a Jesus cozy in your life. But if you will look at the gift that we gave you, if you have a smiley face on the coupon in your little gift packet, that means that you won a gift card. First service, we're giving out gift cards to Glory Days. Second service, it's Heights Meat Market. So if you're like, ooh, I want to try Heights Meat Market, come back for second service, get a new one, go run out. I'm just joking. Anyways, we are so glad that you guys are here today. We just started a brand new community group called Re-Engage. It's a marriage community group. It is completely full, but if you find Pastor Justin Elam and you get on your hands and knees and beg, he may let you in. But I am here to tell you, they have 35 people in this group, and Jesus is already doing some big things. They met once already, and they had a couple who it was their first time on Sunday, heard about the Re-Engage group, came that night, and we're just so excited to find community. Couples are saying they cannot wait to learn to have better communication. They're working through some conflicts. So this has been an incredible start to our group already. We have plenty of other community groups, groups, interest groups, all sorts of groups. So if you are coming to CC and you're like, man, I really just need to get connected, I want to meet other people, would you just hop online, or you can hop on our app and you can find all of the information there, or you can text 94,000, you can just text groups and we'll get you connected with some information about groups. But we are so excited for those who are getting connected and involved in groups and in serving. There is an incredible way to give. If this is your first time here, we did not invite you here to give, but those who call CC home, you guys are the ones who are footing the bill for different things like these giveaways, these community groups, these incredible opportunities to engage, like the weekend for our youth and a couple of weekends. And so if you are part of our CC fam, we would love for you to sign up for automated giving. This is what Bryant and I do. We went into the app, we filled out our information, and every month our tithe comes out automatically. I don't even have to think about it. And so it's an incredible way to make sure that you are giving with priority and faithfulness. And so you can also give on the app, you can give online, or you can give in person. There's some boxes in the back where you can tithe. But we're so grateful to those of you who are giving week in and week out and are a part of what Jesus is doing here at Centerpoint Church. Now, I know you have been loving Bradley Hamilton every single week, and I am so excited for you guys to hear from him today. This is his first official Father's Day, so when he comes out, would y'all give him a huge round of applause? But we cannot wait, Bradley, for your message. Get ready for it.
Hey, Jared. Justin, how much would you pay for dead batteries?
Nothing.
Because they're free of charge.
Mm-hmm. That was it. Jared, how much does a chimney cost? Nothing. It's on the house.
Clever. Bradley, come help me out.
Well, I was going to tell a time traveling joke, but you didn't like it.
What do sprinters eat before they race?
I don't know.
Nothing. They fast.
The face. That's not fair. So when you go into the bathroom, you're American. When you come out, you're American. But while you're in there, what are you? European.
That's good. What do you call a bee that lives in America? A USB. I knew I was going to laugh at my own joke. I knew. I give it one more round before I tap out.
No, you're going to want to stay around for a while.
Okay.
This is how this goes.
All right, I got it together now.
It is good to see
You're
you.
not going to crack me.
I mean, you never know. I do have a question for you, though.
Yeah.
What do you call a pony with a sore throat?
I don't know.
It's a little horse.
What did 50 Cent do when he was hungry?
I don't know what.
58.
That is funny.
Yeah.
It's good.
I like that one.
It's probably my favorite one so far.
All right. I'm going to tap out.
Hello, wise one.
Brad Parker. What does garlic do when it gets hot?
I don't know.
It takes its cloves off.
What's brown and sounds like a bell?
I don't know.
Dung.
That's funny.
I almost got you.
Anything that has to do with poop. It's pretty
Yes.
funny to me. That's a good one. I like that. What's a robot's favorite snack?
Computer chips?
Oh, you got it right. That doesn't count as a point, though. I'm going to ask you another one since you got that one right. How can you tell if a tree is a dogwood tree?
It's bark.
You got another one right. You should get points for this, but that wasn't part of the rules. So, at least you're not laughing.
Why are skeletons so calm?
I don't know.
Because you can't get under their skin.
That's funny. I get it because they're skeletons. Okay.
Is it your turn or my turn? Your turn or my turn?
I'll go.
You'll go? Go ahead.
Why should you make fun of a paleontologist? Because you'll get your ass kicked.
Do you know I was a klepto? Like a kleptomania? You know what that is, right?
Yeah, you're stealing all my jokes.
Yeah. Well, I finally cured it. You know how?
How?
I take something for it.
Nice. Nice. What's the fastest way to determine the sex of chromosomes? You pull their genes down.
You can go first if you want.
What is Marco's favorite clothing brand?
Polo.
Good job.
Thanks. What did 50 Cent say when his grandmother knit him a sweater for his birthday?
I don't know.
G-Unit.
What's Forrest Gump's favorite password?
1 Forest 1.
How are you doing this?
I'm a dad.
Yeah.
What do you get when you plant a donut?
I don't know.
A pastry.
I don't even know why I'm laughing. What did one Dorito farmer say to the other?
Cool Ranch.
Do you read these in your off time? How are you getting so many
I got
of these?
3 kids. I got 3 kids. Why should you always knock before you open the refrigerator door?
I don't know.
Because there could be salad dressing inside.
Do mascara and lipstick ever argue?
Mine don't.
Sure they do, but they make up.
What happens when you smack Dwayne Johnson's butt? You hit rock bottom.
Who's up?
Let's see. Got some really good ones in here. Did you know that it's inappropriate to make a dad joke if you're not a dad? It's a faux pas.
A dad told his kids to embrace their mistakes. Then they hugged him.
That sounds right. Sounds like my kids all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about getting a haircut.
Really?
Yeah. But I'm still mulleting it over.
What's the most condescending bear?
Tell me, what's the most condescending bear?
A panda. Are we done? We just tied it back up.
Tied it back
Okay.
up.
All right,
Oh,
all right. Yeah.
man. Hold on.
What did Tennessee?
Oh, that's it? What did Tennessee? What?
The same thing as Arkansas.
Happy Father's Day, Centerpoint. Thanks so much for spending your Father's Day with us. Happy Father's Day to everyone watching online who's a father. And like Nicole said, this is a special one for me because this is my first Father's Day. We have a 5-month-old. And real quick, I want to give a shout out to my dad. Dad, you are the reason I am the guy that I am, so I love you. Thank you so much. Happy Father's Day. And to my father-in-law, who made the most amazing woman on the planet. Happy Father's Day to you as well. So guys, we're kicking into part 3 of a series that we've been in called Love Where You Live. And if you have missed the last couple of weeks or haven't been tuned in, I'll catch you up, so no worries. I'm going to walk you right back to where we are at. And we've been talking about this idea, this sentence that Jesus said, where he says, love your neighbor. And we love this because it's incredibly easy to love some of our neighbors. It's really easy to love the neighbors who look like us, who hang out with us, who go to the parties we go to, who have kids our same ages, who are annoying. We love to love those neighbors. But then there are other neighbors. And there are other neighbors whose dog never shuts up. And there are other neighbors who continue to leave their trash cans out. Even the HOA has specifically said the day you're supposed to bring it in. There are other neighbors who we didn't choose them. We chose our spot to live. They moved in next to us, and they were different. And we are now in a relationship called neighbor. But when Jesus said, love your neighbor, the term is actually a proximity term. So he meant quite literally, love those you are nearby. And so it's so easy to go about our life, go about our religious traditions even, go about our full Google Calendar, and we love neighbors all over the place, but then we forget that our actual neighbors are also our neighbors. And so what if Jesus actually has a goal and a role we can play next to our neighbors? What if we should love where we live? So that's what we've been talking through, and we've looked at a specific interaction that Jesus had with a neighbor, with someone nearby, that I think for us can help us get super practical on how do we know we're loving where we're living. And so I'm just going to catch us up. We are in Luke chapter 19. We're going to start in verse 1. I'm going to read exactly where we've been and up to where we're going to start this morning. It says, Jesus entered Jericho, and he made his way through the town. And there was a man there named Zacchaeus. And he was the chief tax collector in the region and had become very rich. He tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. And so he ran ahead, he climbs a sycamore fig tree beside the road, for Jesus was going to pass by that way. And when Jesus came by, he looked up at Zacchaeus and called him by name and said, Zacchaeus, quick, come down. I must be a guest in your home today. So we've been walking through this interaction, and here's where we've stopped, and we're going to continue this morning. But already we've seen a couple of things. We've seen that Jesus, and this is important, it sounds simple, but he stopped and he saw Zacchaeus. He stopped enough to see someone who needed to be seen. And our point was simply this: maybe there are people who Jesus has placed you nearby who need to be seen. And sometimes we just get so caught up in what we're doing and our agenda and our to-do list. There are people around us who need us, who you have been placed in proximity to, and we don't stop to see them. And so my question was simply this: do you know the names of your neighbors? Do you know their names? Are you stopping just to know them and meet them? And if you were like me and Jamie, we realized we don't know the names of all of our neighbors. And so we have a lot of work to do, even just to stop and see those around us. And then we saw Jesus do something that goes so against culture, so against even sometimes Christian culture, unfortunately, and he loves Zacchaeus first. He loves first, which is a big deal because Zacchaeus hasn't done anything. Zacchaeus is in a tree just kind of investigating Jesus, checking him out a little bit. He's still a tax collector, which we talked about the last couple of weeks. This was a horrible career to have because you were the most hated in the Jewish society. In fact, how they made money is they were hired by the government to collect taxes, but they would make their profits on raising those taxes, essentially stealing from their own people. So they were outcast, pushed aside, seen as hopeless, hated by the crowd. And so to avoid this crowd, to investigate Jesus, he climbs up a tree just to check him out. And then Jesus would point to him and say, Zacchaeus, while you're still a tax collector, while you're still a mess, while you're still labeled, while you haven't believed in me yet, while you haven't done anything to earn my love, I'm just going to love you. Come down, I'm coming to your house. And he loved first. And we talked about how this is so important because too often, let's just be honest, the church has done a really bad job of this sometimes, saying, I will love you if. I will love you if you just dress differently. I will love you if you just get this part of your life cleaned up. I will love you if you just really get this right, and then you're totally welcome. We say welcome, but no, not totally yet. And we say, I love you if. And Jesus says, not so with you, Christian. You love first. You love if it's not earned. You love if they still have mess. You love if they don't believe. Guess what? They can still belong. And this was the heartbeat of Jesus, to love first. So then my challenge last week was, with your neighbors, just love first. Those who are different, those who are annoying, those who talk too much, those who play their music too loud, those who smoke something a little weird, just go love them before they've done anything to earn it. And if we could do a simple act of love, that will begin to help us to truly love where we live. But now I want to set the scene of them going to Zacchaeus' house. And I want us to look through this a little bit different. We've seen this through the lens of Jesus and Zacchaeus, but what about the disciples that were with them? The disciples, as they're stopping on the road and talking with this guy, and Jesus makes an announcement that would have shocked the disciples too of, hey, Zacchaeus, I'm coming to your house. And they're going, no, we're not. We're going to Jerusalem. Like, this isn't on our roadmap. This isn't on our plan. Jesus, do you know what's going on in Jerusalem? Jesus, they wouldn't have even really known this, but let's just add some creative things in here. They would have said, Jesus, do you know that in Jerusalem is where we're going to spend our final days? Jerusalem is where your mission of the church is going to start. Jerusalem is where you will eventually die, raise again, and redeem the world in just a few days. Jerusalem is where we're headed, and you're stopping for this guy? And not only are you stopping for this guy, but we've had a long road. We've been traveling. We have stuff to do. And where are we going to sleep tonight? How is this going to work that we're going to pause everything for this guy? This one guy. And there's a crowd. Jesus, all of these people are here to see you. Some of these people are religious people. They give a lot of money. We should go talk to them. Some of these people are people who have done all the right things. They've been really nice to us. Some of these people we love. We've heard about them. We've talked to like these are the people that we need to go hang out with. And you're stopping for this guy? And then they would have said, Jesus, the crowds, do you hear them? You hear them whispering? We're not supposed to be with this guy. In fact, we said this a couple weeks ago, but the religious tradition had even put up rules against the kind of people you could go to their house. And Zacchaeus was one of those not on the list. That if you were around someone like this who was greedy, out for themselves, you could get some kind of sin disease. I'm not sure what they thought, but they just thought if you are around this person, you're connected to them and you can't be connected to them. And so the disciples walking to Zacchaeus' house behind Zacchaeus and Jesus, whispering to each other, what are we doing? If this isn't on the plan, this isn't what we should do. I'm kind of worried what they're going to think or they're going to say or what's about to happen. And then as they get to the house, what they see in front of them is less like a house and more like a complex. What we know about Zacchaeus is that he was incredibly rich, and so he would have had a lavish mansion, and they would have looked at this and seen the garden and the landscaping and the servants taking care of everything, and they would have thought, okay, here's why Jesus is coming. Jesus is about to tell Zacchaeus why all of this is too much. All of this is wrong. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take it in. Jesus is going to tour the house, see the gardens, and then really confront Zacchaeus, because there was one guy who wanted to follow after Jesus, and he said, what should I do? And he said, you've actually got to sell some of these things to the poor because they're getting in the way. So maybe that's what's about to happen. He's going to just get Zacchaeus in a big trap and show him that all of this is wrong and evil. And so, okay, that's what we're doing. We can get on board with that. And then they step into the hall, and it's massive. It's unlike anything they've ever seen. Servants taking care of them left and right. They're being treated like kings, and Zacchaeus is just showing off all of his house, walking them through all that he owns. And the disciples are going, yeah, just get ready. This is it. Jesus is just going to store it all up, and he's just going to show Zacchaeus all of this is wrong because we paid for this house. This is our taxes that he stole from us. None of this, all of this lavish stuff, this couldn't be purchased by moral grounds. This had to be stealing from us. And so that's what he's going to do. He's going to take in all of this info and just put Zacchaeus on blast. We can't wait. And so Zacchaeus says, how about you join me for dinner? And they sit down at the table. And course after course after course of food and wine are brought out, more than they have probably ever seen. And they're going, we can't partake of this. Like, this is all kind of greedy money that purchased this. What are we supposed to do here? And let's watch Jesus. And I bet they're whispering to each other, Peter especially, because as fish after fish after fish was brought out, he was a fisherman. He would know how expensive this was. And so they're all kind of uncomfortably looking at each other. What's Jesus going to do? Surely Jesus will say, this, I shall not eat of this. And then tell Zacchaeus now what's going wrong. But Jesus is doing nothing. In fact, he's comfortable. He's the only one at the table who seems to be enjoying himself. And he's eating. And he's drinking, and he's hanging out with Zacchaeus. And so they begin to eat and drink and take in too, but they're still uncomfortable. And they're just thinking, especially probably Judas, he's going, Jesus has gotten so weird lately. Some of the stuff he's been doing is just not what I expected. This is not what we're supposed to be doing on the road to Jerusalem. What's about to happen? Surely he has a plan. And then catch this, next verse. Luke 19:8. I promise I didn't skip over anything. He says this, Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay it back 4 times the amount. What? The disciples would have said, hold on, how did that happen? We have been here and Jesus has done nothing. In fact, that's the only part of the story where Jesus literally does nothing. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't do anything besides enjoy himself, laugh, smile, and hang out with Zacchaeus. And yet Zacchaeus is so caught off guard. It's that changed everything for Zacchaeus. It was in that moment that Zacchaeus, as he's sitting there and just, Jesus is not shaming him. He's not assuming anything else. He's just sitting with him. It's in that moment that Zacchaeus would have said, hold on, I can't go back to the way I was. Because I now know this, I can't go back to being isolated. I can't go back to pushing people away. Now that I know true friendship, I can't just be out for myself anymore. Today and now, something in me has to change because what I have seen, the love I have been shown, that is changing me from the inside out. We would have been surprised too. Because many of the things that we think will lead to change don't actually lead to change. Many of the things our culture says will lead to change doesn't actually lead to change. Some of the things the church thinks leads to change don't actually lead to change. And I think a lot of us, if we were to be honest, we have a desire to see our world changed. And that's a good thing. We see brokenness, we see people hurting. We know that especially as Christ followers, we have been called to be the difference makers, the light in this world. The problem is some of the ways we go about trying to navigate that change isn't what Jesus would have done. And so I want to give us a couple things that don't lead to change that sometimes we have a tendency to do first. Here's the first one. Shame doesn't lead to change. Shame doesn't lead to change. What Jesus didn't do in this moment was walk through the house of Zacchaeus and say, yeah, you see all this? See where this money could have gone? Zacchaeus, I don't know. Do you really need this tiger over here? Like, I don't know if that's really necessary. Probably could have used that for charity. We tend to think sometimes that if we can call out the wrongness in people, that that's what will help them change. And we do this sometimes without love, without care, without sensitivity, without a relationship. And so instead, we just blast people on Facebook. We verbally abuse people groups that we don't know on Facebook. And we get in arguments on Facebook, and we think, okay, if I just shame them into changing, then that's going to be how real change is made. And come on, that's just true, because didn't you make the biggest life decision ever because of a jerk on Facebook? It's not how we work. It didn't happen with you. It doesn't happen with the brokenness in our world. Shame doesn't change anyone. In fact, here's what shame does. Shame does a few things in the opposite direction. Shame will isolate people. Shame will begin to tell people over and over again that they are worthless, they have no value, they're a mistake. And then when you heap more shame onto that group of people, it pushes them farther into isolation where they are not going to listen to you, especially not you, because you're no longer a safe person. And it isolates. Shame divides. Shame will draw a line in the sand and say, here's where you stand, here's where I stand, and you are wrong if you're on that side of the line. And shame shuts down conversation. And then here's the heartbreaking thing about shame. Shame just hurts. Shame hurts people. Instead of trying to discuss and figure out and look to the hope and the best in someone else, shame just says, you are wrong. And shame begins to lead people into a deeper shame spiral, a deeper shame narrative, and shame hurts. And you know because you felt it. You've had someone look at you and pick out something about you and shame you for that thing. And because of that, it hurts. It does not love. And the crazy thing is, even the Christ followers would do this, because if you look at the life of Jesus, he never shames. He never shames. He always loved with the kind of love that he's giving Zacchaeus. Again, he didn't walk in and go, Zacchaeus, we need to change all of this. You're doing this wrong. You know what he didn't do? He didn't take a picture of the mansion, post it on Facebook, and say, can you believe this tax collector? Look at what he's doing. Let's rally together to yell at him. That's not how Jesus loves. It was never shame, because he knew that shame doesn't create change. The other thing that doesn't create change is assuming. Assuming doesn't lead to change. And I would say a popular phrase about what assuming does to us, but instead, let me just say this. I think that assuming has become one of the greatest plagues of our culture. I think especially in the last couple of years, this idea that instead of listening to someone, instead of knowing someone, instead of taking the time to get to know someone, we just stereotype and demonize. We assume that we know, we make up something because we've just heard it once, and so we just think that's what it's like to be black, white, Asian, Latino, woman. That's like, we just categorize. And we assume that we know, because here's what happens. We all have a life experience. We all grew up somewhere, in some way, with some kind of relationships, and those have built us into who we are. It has built the lens into how we see the world, and that's not our fault. That just happens. The problem is when you start to translate other people through that lens, and you start to look at someone else through how you see the world, and if they don't see it that way, and if they don't share your opinion, well, then they're just wrong. Because they couldn't see it different than you. Because everyone has a life experience. Everyone has different relationships. Everyone has a different way they grew up. And so what if maybe, just maybe, they see things differently than you, and it's not necessarily wrong. Maybe it's just different. And maybe if you were to take the time and actually hear their story and see their lens, then you could possibly grow too. When we assume, it stops change. It prevents it. It creates an us-them mentality. It's arrogant. And then it prevents our own growth. When we assume that there is nothing I need to learn from you, we are in this place where we can't grow, we can't develop, and maybe through a relationship with someone different, God also wants to change you. But if we keep assuming, we will stay in that spot. And here's the deal about Zacchaeus. They all were assuming about Zacchaeus. The crowd, the disciples, they thought they knew him. They thought because of his career, because of his decisions in the past, because of some of his lifestyle and where he lived, they knew everything they needed to know about Zacchaeus. He was greedy. He was out for himself. He is evil. He's an outcast. He is a lost hope. They thought they knew Zacchaeus. And the reason the story changed is because Jesus didn't assume about Zacchaeus. He took the step to know Zacchaeus. And what if we would take the step to know those around us instead of just assume? And here's the truth, right? You've probably had someone assume something about you. You've probably at some point had someone assume something about you that you didn't like. I get this all the time because early on in the conversation, here's my least favorite question. What do you do? And the reason I hate that, I love being a pastor, but I hate answering the question, what do you do? Because early on in the conversation, no matter how great it's going, no matter how much we were connecting, when I say pastor, the room shifts. The energy changes, and all of a sudden, with one word, they unload assumptions onto me. And they'll start to apologize for how long it's been since they've come to church. And they'll start to go, ooh, earlier I said a cuss word around you, is that okay? And then they heap on me all of their past religious experiences. And they assume things about me because of what they've heard from another pastor or had another pastor do to them. They begin to bring me their questions and theological questions. Now even their whole idea of Jesus, I'm having to wrestle through. And I just feel like we all feel a little uncomfortable when people assume. Because instead of removing what they think they know and knowing us, they put a filter in the way. And it's so easy to see when people do this to us. But aren't we doing it all the time too? In fact, who are the people around us that if we were to be honest, we think we know a lot about? We think we have them all summed up. We think we know why they did that and why they live the way they do, but we don't actually know them at all. And what Jesus would say is, assuming it never leads to change. So if those don't lead to change, what does? What's the difference maker? What happened in the life of Zacchaeus that could happen if we begin to love like Jesus loved? Here's what leads to change. Personal relationships lead to change. Personal relationships. This is what happened with Zacchaeus. He was seen, he was sought after, he was loved. In spite of what he was doing that he knew Jesus might disagree with, Jesus just hung out with him. Jesus took the time to get to know him. Jesus went over to his house and ate his food and sat and laughed and talked. And because of that, Zacchaeus would go, wait, this is different. I can't be the same. There is something about a personal relationship that changes everything. Jesus isn't assuming things about me like the crowd was. Jesus isn't judging me and shaming me like the crowd has. Jesus just loves me and he wants a relationship with me. It changes everything. And I just think that in this moment, Zacchaeus believed in Jesus because Jesus first believed in him. And for us, maybe there's some people who just need us to believe in them, who just need us to be willing to go the extra mile and get to know them. Relationships are not built on shame. They believe the best first. They say, let's do this together. They don't say, get your stuff together and then we'll do this. They say, together, let's walk through this. And they aren't built on assumptions. They don't assume they know anyone. Personal relationships take the time to listen, take the time to learn, take the time to realize that maybe there's something I can grow in out of this relationship, even though you're different than me. Personal relationships aren't built on shame or assumption. So if we want to make a difference in this world, it looks like stopping our assumptions. It looks like stopping shame. And what if we decide to just stop assuming? In fact, what if we decided that those who are most different were the ones we want to learn the most from? What if, I've been doing this lately because a little trick I learned that's just been so cool and helped me a ton in this. What if when you think, I don't understand why someone would do blank. When that thought comes into your mind, I don't understand why anyone would do blank. What if we stopped there, saw it as a red flag, and then added to it, I don't understand why someone would do blank, so I want to go learn more about that. And just by adding that, you realize, listen, I'm assuming a lot here. I'm right. I don't understand why someone would do that, but there is a lens they see the world through. There is a reason why they have those opinions. There is a reason why they have those feelings. And so I'm going to go the extra mile to learn more about that thing. Because here's the other thing assuming does that sometimes we don't realize. When we assume something about someone and we don't listen and get to know their opinions, we are telling them that their worldview is worthless. We are telling them that their experiences and their opinions and their values don't matter. And Jesus would say, you want change? Set aside the shame. Set aside the assumptions. There's one guy at this table that would have been seeing this through a little bit different lens than the other disciples. And it's Matthew. As the rest were probably uncomfortable and looking around and not understanding fully what's taking place, I feel like Matthew would have been sitting there with a little bit of emotion. He might have even had a tear in his eye. Because he's looking around the table and seeing what's happening. Matthew knew exactly what Jesus was doing. Because Matthew was a tax collector. Matthew was in the seat of Zacchaeus. Matthew had run the job, had worked his way up the ladder, had the house, had the career. Matthew had made the mistakes that Zacchaeus had made. He had stolen from his own people and made profit off of it. Matthew was hated. Matthew was outcast. Matthew was unloved. And then Jesus shows up into Matthew's story. And the difference maker for Matthew was that Jesus didn't shun him aside. He didn't lapse more shame on him. He didn't assume that he knew who Matthew was, that he was a lost cause out for himself. Surely he could never be one of my disciples, one of my Jesus followers. No, he comes up to Matthew, and while he was collecting taxes, he says, follow me. While Matthew was in his mess, he says, I want you, and you belong. And he brought Matthew in. And I just see Matthew sitting at the table, everyone else uncomfortable. But he's watching Jesus smile. And he's watching what's going on in the heart of Zacchaeus because he recognizes it happened in him. Where a personal relationship is beginning to change everything. It did for Matthew. And he knew it was about to for Zacchaeus. And if there was ever a point where Matthew had doubted whether or not he was forgiven or loved, this would have just confirmed it. That Jesus is different. Jesus' love doesn't make assumptions about somebody else. Jesus' love doesn't shame someone else. It just wants someone else. And so each week we've added this challenge of what does it look like to love where we live, and I've thrown up this house matrix about essentially the 5 people around you. And some will have to take creative license, but you get it, there's about 5. And we've just added on some small challenges so far. Know their names, engage in love. This one gets a little bit more difficult. For this week, what if you actually took a relational step and began to know one of these people? Maybe that means you have them over for dinner. Maybe that means you invite them to something that you're attending. Maybe this means that you go out of your way to have a conversation with them. If you're really risky, do this with someone very different than you. Do this with the person you disagree with the most. Do this with the one that you say, I just can't understand why, and go find out why. and take a relational step with someone that Jesus has placed you nearby. Here's what I want to say to close. If you don't want to change, and if you don't want your community to change, don't do this step. Don't do it. Because a personal relationship with someone different than you changes a lot. If you're serious about this and you begin to have a relationship with someone who sees the world differently, who believes differently, who has a different political ideology, someone who is different than you, if you are serious about building a personal relationship with someone different, it will begin to change you, and it will begin to change them, and it will begin to change the world. And so if you don't want to see that happen, do not take this step, because this is perhaps the most dangerous step of the series. But if that's you, then let's do this. And let's believe that no one is too far gone, that no one is out of hope, but that Jesus wants a relationship with them. Let's pray. God, I thank you for how you love us like Zacchaeus. How regardless of our mess, regardless of our mistakes and our past and our lost identity, you continue to pursue us. You continue to love us, that you never give up on us. God, I thank you that you have given us that kind of love. God, would you help us extend that to our neighbors? Our neighbors that right now, if we're honest, we can't imagine loving. Our neighbors that right now we've already gotten in disagreements with, and arguments with, and fights with. God, would this week you change some of that? Would this week you help us to learn what it really looks like to love like you've loved? And God, as we set aside our assumptions and love like you did, God, I pray you would do something powerful in our neighborhoods, powerful in our city, powerful in our world. God, it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Again, surrendering all. Find me here, Lord, as you draw me near, desperate for you, desperate for I surrender. Drench my soul as mercy and grace unleash.
party. See you guys next week.
Oh, hey guys! We are ready. I promise you we're ready. I'm Nicole Golden. I'm married to Bryant, one of the pastors here, and this is.
And
who
you are one of the pastors here. Like,
Right.
it sounds like you say, I'm married to Bryant, one of the pastors here.
Okay, sorry. I'm married to Bryant, the pastor here. If we're gonna.
I don't know if that's, it's not like all caps on his business
And then
card.
I'm one of the pastors, yes. And this is Justin.
I'm also one of the pastors here. I want to welcome you to the after party.
Well, I'm just joking. You are. 100%.
Yeah, come on. I'm a pastor here longer than you, so.
Whatever.
Yeah, well, but hey, this is the deal. After
digress.
party, we like to just hang out for a little bit, let our hair down some, connect with you. We'll remind you, get connected, text Centerpoint to 94,000. That is the best way to get connected. We'll respond with a list of options and ways for you to plug in. If you're part of our digital campus where you're not in the local area, there's iGroups and there's opportunities for you to serve online as
Yep.
well. But if you're local,
Local.
like you can come on out, man. We're gonna have a great time. We have some things happening next month. We're gonna be we're doing like a celebration night next month.
Celebration
which
night.
Will be big.
And then the beginning of next month, July 9th through the 10th, is the weekend for our students. So if you are local and you aren't just on the digital, which is the definition of local, and you are hanging out at home today, just know our student ministry Velocity has taken this summer off. That just kind of builds momentum for the fall, gives you guys an opportunity to vacation and not feel like your kids are missing out on stuff. But the weekend is coming up July 9th through 10th. You need to sign up for that. They're going to love it. It's going to be awesome. It will be here on campus, right?
Yep,
Okay.
it'll be here.
So everything will be here on campus.
And there's some things they're doing, like they're doing some gatherings, like high school and middle school, and they're doing some stuff. So check out their Instagram. I should know their Instagram handle, but I don't.
It's CC Velocity, but I think there's no vowels.
Nah, they changed it. That's why.
Oh, they did?
Because they changed it.
Okay.
They be changing
Well,
stuff.
and I think Bradley was the guy that was just preaching today. He's our student pastor, and I think they're still doing everything online too, right? So you can still connect if you're digital
you can
campus.
still reach out that way. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still be a part of that. So that's awesome. And then you guys have been killing it this month with CC Kids.
Yeah.
Today was Superhero Day. What's
Superhero
next
Day.
week?
Next week is.
Oh, shame.
Oh, it's Bubble Trouble.
Oh, sorry. We're not supposed to. We learned from Bradley. We're not supposed to
Yeah, don't shame me.
put shame.
Don't shame.
Because you're married to Rachel,
I'm
who
married
is
to
the
Rachel.
one who's like running all of
doing
the
all the kids
program
ministry
and
stuff.
killing it.
Yes.
So, okay. And we were asked a couple weeks ago, too, if CC Kids has resources online, and they do. So if you follow their Instagram handle, their Facebook, Rachel is always putting up little videos talking about the verses and the takeaways for all the ages. So
If you go on YouTube and you search CC Kids FL, you can find the same preschool lesson that we do all
That's
month.
awesome.
You can find the elementary lessons we do every single week here. So your kids, even like if you're traveling for summer or
Yeah.
you're taking a vacation, your kids, honestly, sometimes like I just need 15 minutes, like watch your Jesus video and have a good time with
or
that.
if they're just, being horrible human beings, be like, y'all need some Jesus and sit them
sometimes
down.
kids are like
And
that.
it is what it is. I've got 4, 8 and under. You've
Yeah.
got 3, 7 and
7
under.
under.
Jeez.
One more
And-
coming.
Oh yes, one more coming.
It'll be.
It's not a secret anymore.
It's
'cause
not a
she's,
secret anymore.
Yes.
Nope.
That's exciting.
It's funny. So people came up a couple weeks ago, like, I didn't know you were expecting another child. I'm like,
Rachel's like the smallest human being in the world, and it is so obvious she's
Yes.
pregnant. So how
Like
someone would be like,
so we were at a wedding this weekend.
yes,
And we're in a elevator at the hotel, and this little boy, who's probably like 8, looks at Rachel, and he's with his mom. He goes, "Are you pregnant?"
like,
And we're
oh,
like,
I hope so.
"Yeah, oh yeah, we're pregnant." And then she's like, "We're having a little girl." He's like, "They're having a little girl." Mom, for like the whole elevator ride, which wasn't like crazy long, but like
How
the whole. And then we hear him walking away, like, "Mom, she's having a girl.
Yeah,
She's
kids
pregnant." Like
kids
he
get
was
excited
like
about those
taken
things.
back. Also, another question for you.
Yes.
Okay, I asked the people this on the Instagram interwebs. If you go to a buffet
Yes,
and it's like a fancy buffet.
yes. I do not care for buffets. But
Okay, but I'm saying, but not like you're like whatever, like the buffets are like carving stations, nice food,
Okay.
all the good stuff,
So
right?
we're not talking Golden Corral.
No.
Which my
no.
father-in-law adores Golden Corral,
Yes.
and I throw up in my mouth every time.
Yeah, I don't no, like not that buffet. Like,
Yes, I'm sorry if you
big-
like Golden Corral. You are entitled to your Golden
You
Corral.
have it.
You remember Quincy's
No.
and Ryan's?
I remember Ryan's.
Okay,
Yeah.
Quincy's and Ryan's. Anyways, continue.
But if they have
And
chicken,
Stacy's.
if they
That was in Lakeland. Stacy's buffet
Stacy.
was one of the biggest. I keep cutting off. One of the biggest buffets. Now, as a kid, I loved it.
yes,
But
kids
as
love
an
buffet.
adult,
Yeah, no.
anyways, okay.
Hometown buffet was one we
Now
had
you
up
try.
north. Okay, I just give you a second.
Right now.
So if there
But the
are
other one, just joking.
if there are chicken tenders on the buffet line,
Yes.
Are those there for strictly children?
No.
Or is that for everybody?
That's for everybody.
See, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what everybody else thought too.
And
I
they
just wanted to bring it
put.
up.
Wait, was it only for kids?
No, Rachel's
You
like,
were
that's
at
for
a
kids.
wedding, though. That's
No,
the difference.
but the buffet wasn't at the wedding though. This was
Okay.
like the bougie buffet at the place we were having the wedding the day before.
Okay.
So this is
no.
like a. Yeah.
If they put stuff on buffet, and that's the beauty of the buffet, is like most adults I think would prefer kid food, and so that you just can.
Like I
shamelessly
did
eat the
have
kid
like
food.
a few tater tots and a little bit of mac and cheese and a tender, but I also had like the salmon. And I ate everything. You know, I was like, sure, I'm gonna try. I had like this golden beet salad. I'm like, I don't know if I like beets, but Dwight, shoot, you gotta try it.
I love you guys.
Like-
I've said this before. Y'all are like, you're not big people, but like at all. But like y'all love the food, and I don't know
we
how you
love
are
the
not
food.
big people, because like I just look at food and gain weight.
I'm like,
So like,
oh man.
but y'all both run and work out and
Yeah.
stuff. Like Rachel was killing me. I saw her walking the other day. We live in the same neighborhood, and I saw her walking the other day with her 3 kids, and she's like, how many months pregnant?
I don't know. She's 25 weeks.
6 months pregnant. Okay, so 6.
That's
She's
what
almost
she is.
done. And I texted her later. I was like, what were you doing? She's like, oh, we were taking a walk. I mean, they were over a mile from the house. And she was like, I just figured it last week. I couldn't run anymore because I tried to do 4
Yeah.
miles. And I'm like, 4 miles at
Yeah.
6 months? That woman's nuts.
Yeah,
but
she-
that's how you guys do
But
it.
she like my kids might go home from work. We saw Aunt Nicole and Braxton and Ryan, and Braxton was crying, and he was over there. And they were over. And I was like,
We'll
these-
end on this story. 2
these are
stories and
kids.
we'll end on. So during the summer, I make my kids run with me. They like it. We do about 1.5 to 2 miles. So Case is in the stroller because he's 1.5. But my 8, 6, and 4-year-old run. And it gets there.
And Braxton wouldn't want to be in a stroller.
No.
It was an option.
He
Like,
wanted to run. The problem
yes.
was, because he's been running with me while the other kids were at school, the problem was he got a little tired because they were a little bit faster, and then he saw Rachel and the girls,
Yeah.
and I think just the waterworks happened.
Yeah.
And so, but when my kids start crying when I'm running, I'm like, let's go, come on, like no quitters, you know. Life is hard. I teach life lessons. I do.
Yes.
I teach
I got
life lessons. So
This is a life lesson for y'all not to do when you're running.
what did you do?
So this is like years ago, before Rachel and I are married. No, we were married. We didn't have kids. We're running. We're training for a race.
Yeah.
And we're running our town, and we are coming up to like train tracks.
Oh.
And the gates are going ding 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 going down.
No.
And I am like Rachel runs like clear her head and it's like very like zen. I am like challenge, like let's push it. So this train's coming. I'm like, let's go. Like we can beat this
Oh,
train.
no.
Let's go. Run, run, run. And we weren't like
And you've
crazy
heard the stories
far.
of people who've like gotten their feet stuck in train tracks and all
I
sorts
heard
of
also.
things.
I've done things that I don't do anymore with trains
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
But I am like, let's go, run, run. And it was far enough away. It was going slow.
Yeah.
So like push her to run. She was so mad at me. And that was like the beginning of our run. So we had like our like 6 mile run that were like.
Was she just
she's
angry the
upset-
whole time?
Yeah. I was like, I tried to be like, she's not.
Nice.
We learned like we don't run well together.
Yeah.
Like we run through life together. Good.
Okay.
Running,
I was gonna have
exercising,
another story, but
not
let's
good.
just end it there. Anyways, happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
I
Thank
hope you guys who are watching Letter Dads, happy Father's Day. For those who are hurting today, we're with you. We see you. I know Father's Day, Mother's Day are great, sucky days. So what I would encourage you to do is to reach out to someone that you know maybe lost their dad, has a tough relationship with their dad. And I also think of widows today who are trying to navigate Father's Day with their kids without daddy around. So be thinking of those people that you can reach out to and love on, and send them a quick text. So,
Just say, hey,
Yeah.
thinking about you today.
yep,
So.
that's it. Don't make it weird. Just be kind. All right, fam. Love ya.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.